The
Okay.
world's first malaria vaccine, after 30 years of research, this is backed by Bill Gates, gets a green light. And it's funded by something called the Path Malaria Vaccine Initiative, along with
Okay.
GlaxoSmithKline, this collaborative. So, PATH is funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which poured more than 200 million into the project. GSK said it has spent more than 365 million on the effort. So,
Okay.
almost half a Bill and Melinda Gates vaccine. So that was 2015. Now we fast forward to 2019, and this is out of Science Mag, and we start seeing this progression timeline here in the media.
Right.
The first malaria vaccine rolled out in Africa, despite limited efficacy and wait for it, nagging safety concerns. Oh, it's just those nagging, just kind of
Oh
like a little
man, those
splinter under my finger.
troublesome, feisty little safety concerns.
Yeah,
Okay.
just no big deal. So, so the rollout it basically was in two African countries, and they say in the article it isn't quite the breakthrough the field has been waiting for. Most Curex, that's actually the name of this vaccine, efficiency and durability are mediocre. 4 doses offer only 30% 30% protection against severe malaria for no more than 4 years. Some experts question whether that is worth the cost and effort. The biggest concern, however, is about vaccine safety.
So why are they concerned about vaccine safety?
Well, that brings us to the BMJ. Now we're tracking this on this timeline of articles and investigation. So the
Okay.
pilot program in Africa is over 700,000 children. So you think if they have
Wow.
limited efficacy and some safety concerns, why are you going to roll out to 700,000 children?
Like
But
nearly a
anyway, that's
million.
what's
And it
happening.
looks like we have some safety concerns. Let's check into that by giving 1 million children the vaccine, and then we'll get some answers.
Yes,
And you know
absolutely.
what? Shockingly, we might actually reduce the population in the process, right? Just it,
Right.
it
I
could
mean,
be it could be just a convenient little side effect.
if you're trying to make people healthy so they, I guess, don't have more kids, that's his logic.
Right.
Why are you rolling out this vaccine this quickly to that many people? But anyway, so the BMJ, right? This is Peter Doshi out of the BMJ. An amazing report says WHO's malaria vaccine study represents a serious breach of international ethical standards. So the experts were troubled by a lack of informed consent in the study. Now, you ask about safety. So from the BMJ, this is what they write. Its use, the vaccine, is being limited to pilot implementation, in part to evaluate outstanding safety concerns that emerged from previous clinical trials. These were a rate of meningitis in those receiving Mosquirix of 10 times that of those who did not, increased cerebral malaria cases, and a doubling in the risk of death for any cause in girls. Here we go again with the girl mortality
Girls.
increase.
Why is it always the girls? The DTP last week, it was it the Penta vaccine. It's in
Mhm.
the girls now, and when you think about if you wanted to reduce population, that's where you go. I mean, and this is funded. This is Bill and Melinda Gates are directly involved with this trial right now, correct?
Yes. So exactly. And if I'm someone that wants to put out a vaccine that is questionable, you have questionable safety. How else are you going to do it? Well, if there's questionable safety, people aren't probably going to take it.
Right.
So we need to screw around with their informed consent so they don't know there's questionable safety. And that's exactly what the BMJ found. This is what they write. WHO contends that the study is a, quote, pilot introduction and not a research activity. It says that those children living in areas randomized to receive the new vaccine will do so as part of each country's routine vaccination schedule, and that consent is implied. Well, as they say, implied consent is not informed consent. So what the BMJ found was it wasn't even clear if these parents were receiving info about the safety issues or if they even understood it. So they asked the
Right.
WHO, "Hey, can you send us your materials over?" They sent over some pamphlets that were being distributed by the countries, and it didn't say anything about the female mortality in there, the possible increased risk of female mortality. So, you ask the
Or
WHO, "Hey,
meningitis, or like brain, was it malaria, neurological malaria? Like, I mean, shocking
it did
problem
mention
when you're
those
trying to
two."
avoid malaria, right? It did. It did.
Yeah, it did
Okay,
mention
good.
those two. It didn't say
Oh,
anything about
good.
the deaths. However, they asked the BMJ asked WHO, how are you communicating this? They basically it sounded like threw a handful of pamphlets at them and said, I don't know, this is what we give to the countries, just check it out. And there wasn't this, you hear the word robust. There wasn't this robust reporting system. Are the families understanding what meningitis is? Do they know what it looks like? Are people reporting it? None of this stuff is transparent, if it's even happening.
I mean, this is what I think is really we need to do more investigation into is, Bill and Melinda Gates call this a nonprofit. They're an NGO. Oh, we're going out to save children. But essentially what it seems to me that they're doing is they're using a nonprofit to test vaccines on innocent populations. They don't give them informed consent. I think they even said in that last paragraph something to the effect that this isn't research. We're not doing a safety study. Mm-hmm. This is a pilot implementation program. Even though it hasn't been tested for safety, and there are some definite warning signals coming out, we weren't there to test for safety. We were just planning on skipping that entire process altogether. But you can imagine they go in as, oh, it's a nonprofit, we want to save the world, we're going to do, pilot implementation projects on Africa and India. And then if the vaccine proves to be effective, then GSK and our investments in GSK will go on to make billions of dollars as we use the vaccine in other places that maybe know better or actually know what's going on. I think the whole thing is a total scam. But again, when I think, and that's why, when I thought about how often Bill Gates talks about reducing population, clearly it's not making people healthier because they have a serious health risk. They're causing clearly meningitis at 10 times the rate and neurological malaria and death. And yet their answer to that is, we just got to make the pilot group larger. Let's get 1 million children in there and then let's see what happens. I mean, it's really shocking because it just shows you how these people just see numbers, right? These aren't human beings. They're not children. They're just numbers.
Perfect point. Perfect point. So look at this as a one-child situation. So you go into the doctor's office and your child goes back and gets the appointment with the doctor. Taking a little while, so you walk in and you see the doctor putting a vaccine in your kid's arm. You say, what's going on? Well, this is a pilot implementation. Well, did they agree to this? I didn't agree to this. Well, it's implied consent. They showed up they're in my office, so this is implied that they want this vaccine. Okay, well, what's this vaccine all about? Well, I developed it and I made it a little bit and I have some money interest in giving this vaccine out, but don't worry about all that stuff. There's just some safety issues and we want to figure this out.
Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing story. And again, I think one of those things here at the Informed Consent Action Network, we're going to get deeper into this. We continue to press for lawsuits around the world. I don't care if you're a nonprofit and say you're there to save the world. If you're killing children, we're coming after you. Jeffrey Jackson, once again, shocking things to report. Being poisons that may lead to us being sicker from COVID-19. And then, of course, in nations that, really seem to always be the brunt of this. Where you find death, you find children and pilot programs, there you will find Bill and Melinda Gates. If you like that clip, then be sure to check out our live broadcast of The High Wire every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Time. You can watch it on Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, and Twitter. We'll see you there.